Fight!
Oh, chat, you don't even know. You don't even know. Arigato. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the stream. Oh, there it is. There it is. Wow. I mean, listen, guys. When I first started watching Tyler Perry's A Fall from Grace, I think, oh, okay, it's going to be one of his typical, I don't know, dramedies or whatever, but you don't even know about the nonsense that goes on in this film. This might be the most ridiculous ending he's ever done for a film. Before we get into that, before we get into just the ridiculousness that this film offers up to you and tries to just pass it off, it's like, yeah, this is fine. This is totally fine. Don't worry about it. I want to welcome everyone to the stream. Fern, good to see you. What up, fuckers? Good to see you, Fern. Grumpy Gamer. Pleasure to have you here. Awesonik. Oh, Lord. Yes, many people will be saying that after they watch this film. As I said, guys, if I'd hit my $25 donation goal yesterday, I would do a review for Tyler Perry's A Fall from Grace. His first Netflix film, I believe. Yeah, I think maybe he has like a long-running contract with them right now. But I'm curious, guys. And again, welcome. Hope everyone's doing very well today. I do want to thank everyone for the recent subscriptions this month. Oh, Fern, thank you for the 200 biddies. Damn it, Juicy, I just got to work. Well, perfect. I'm glad you got to work, and thank you for that generous donation. Now we get to discuss the film together. But I do want to thank, obviously, everyone in the chat right now. I want to thank the subscribers for the month of January. Total followers, 1,227 followers, guys. Again, that's amazing. We've seen some great growth with that. And again, I want to thank Nooner for being my weekly top donor, 1,500 biddies, and JT Grim Dresden for being my monthly top donor, the Biddy Boss Champions, if you will, chat, with 2,095 biddies. Seriously, thank you. But first, I got to ask the chat right now, before we get into the nonsense that is this movie, how many of you have seen this film? Apparently, it's only been out for like a couple of days right now. And the origins of me choosing this film is because of, you got to thank this guy, Chris Ayers. You see him in the chat often, whether it be the Double Toasted chat or mine. He made a post about it. It's like, okay, this is my next film. After seeing that ridiculous trailer, I just had to do it. And it is absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth it. You did, Fern, yes, I'm sorry. Let's see what you are. Let's see where you're ranking in the Biddy Boss Champions right now. Currently at 6th, my friend. 6th. You're in the top 10. You're in the top 10 squad, which I do appreciate. I appreciate every donation on this stream, so thank you. Fuck that. Now, why is my viewership always... See, every time, chat, I gotta, like, fix my viewership here. Hold on, just give me a second. There it is. There we go. Okay, I'm glad it's finally working. But I'm curious, for those of you who are tuning in right now, how many of you actually seen, let's go into a Tyler Perry movie or his most recent film? You know, I've only seen like a couple of Tyler Perry films over my lifetime. Several of the Medea ones, which, you know, I'll admit, guys, Diary of a Mad Black Woman, that film, it's not a good movie. However, the parts of Medea are actually really funny. Like, she's a fun character. It's just all the other stuff that surrounds her is bullshit. Or overdramatic, it's just boring. Oh! Fur! Thank you for the 1,095 biddies, sir. Thank you so much. That was this stream is off to a very good foot. Thank you so much, my friend. That was so generous of you. What that puts you in third. You are now among the top 3 Biddy Boss champions, Fern. Thank you so much with 1,850 biddies. Thank you. Seriously, that was very, very generous of you. But yeah, I mean, Diary of a Mad Black Woman was my first Tyler Perry movie, and I enjoyed it for Medea. I thought she was a fun element. There was some other ridiculous nonsense that went on in there, especially when the husband, becomes paralyzed. And she's just fucking with him the entire time. Like, that's funny shit. I love it. Beating up on the disabled chat. I mean, no, he deserved it. He definitely deserved it. And I've seen some other Tyler Perry movies over the years. I think I saw Medea Goes to Jail, which is like several sequels later. I did see the sequel to Diary of a Mad Black Woman, which I forget what it was called. I can't remember that much. I just remember that Medea adopted a young girl or was fostering a young girl, and then all the plots are so similar to each other. If I just say the plot to a Tyler Perry movie, that applies to several other of his other films, and I can't remember any of the characters because they're not well developed, much like in this film I'm about to talk about. Duma, welcome to stream. Byron from Tammy and the T-Rex could be a Tyler Perry character. I believe you. I have no idea who that is. Is that Paul Walker's character? If that's true, I mean, I imagine that would work. Just not, because the characters in this particular film, guys, I mean, look, it's a Tyler Perry film. Everything's paper thin. However, despite it being paper thin, there is so much to enjoy about this film, but it doesn't really come until I'd say the last half of the movie, because a lot of it's just setup. A lot of it's just boring nonsense. Ooh, chat. Fern with a 500 biddy donation, activating my Chris Burton alert. And Fern, you are now the Biddy Boss champion. Thank you so much, man. Seriously, you've been incredibly generous during this stream. I mean, generous for the the time that you've been watching me. So thank you and welcome everyone. Whoa, Sandy, thank you for the host. Already, the hosts do help, guys. Help spread the word of the Revenants. Absolutely do. Welcome. Hello, Sandy. Welcome to the stream. Oh my God. No, it's the gay black character. So that's what it is? Oh no, then Tyler Perry would not want that. Because as we all know, he's very religious, and I think all of his films have, God plays a role in them. And so I guess you wouldn't see a very effeminate gay black character. Certainly not in this movie. It's not. If they were in the film, they'd probably be a villain. Because I think he would actually do something like that. But that's the thing for A Fall from Grace, guys. It's like a lot of Tyler Perry films, the truly ridiculous ones, so you just can't believe what's happening. The first half of the film is just boring nonsense. It really is. It's the point where it's just okay, when's this going to start kicking off? I mean, they're basically Lifetime movies with pretty much with a majority black cast, because, Lifetime films, they never want to cast any minorities. No black people, no Hispanics or Asians. No, it's lily goddamn white. So I can understand, it's hey, we want some Lifetime-esque movies too, and Tyler Perry provides them in fucking spades. And that's what you get here for the first hour. Which, for those of you who need at least some semblance of a plot, is at the end of the day, the plot doesn't matter. It really doesn't, after all. But it follows this woman who is accused of murder, who basically is gonna be on death's row. The only thing we could possibly give her is life without parole. That's the best we can do. And that character, let me see if I can get the film up here. Is this A Fall from Grace? Because it's weird, guys. Let me look up Tyler Perry's, because you know what? Wikipedia is acting funny, because apparently there's going to be another film called A Fall from Grace with Vincent D'Onofrio. And that's just bizarre to me. And Tim Roth, I'm like, that's not the movie. So there's two different films. Here it is. But the film follows a character called Grace Waters, who has been accused of murdering her new husband. Now the situation surrounding this murder is odd. One, because even though she claims to have murdered him, they never found a body. They found a shit ton of blood, and we'll get into why there's a shit ton of blood. But they found no body. And since, okay, well, this, in Tyler Perry's world, even though the body is missing, and the client admitted to killing them, even though, again, they can't find the body, so how do you know he's actually dead? She's going to be on death row, or at least life without parole. So they assign this do-nothing lawyer, this lawyer who is actually terrible at her job, works at this law firm called Well, she's called Jasmine Bryant. And the law firm is owned by Tyler Perry, who plays a complete asshole with a really shitty wig and beard. The stuff that you could rip it off because it's barely glued on. It's not like that like cool like Hollywood glue they use for like prosthetic thing. No, it's like Elmer's glue. You can even see the glue strain like right outside. It's like, nah, we're gonna just rip that off. Oh, I forgot how the movie opens. So I'm sorry, guys. I'm getting into the plot right now. I have to tell you like the first scene how the movie opens. We cut to a house surrounded by police, and we see this elderly woman just fucking doing the Jesus T-pose right there, about to pitch herself off the edge. And we find the main characters, Jessica Bryant's husband, trying to coax her down. He's a police officer. He's like called to the scene so she wouldn't pitch herself over the edge. Like, no, come here. Everything's gonna be fine. She's spouting nonsense. You don't know what the hell she's talking about. I guess she doesn't. Her house foreclosed, and she doesn't want to be taken out of there, sent to the old folks' home or something. But then all these helicopters show up, or, spotlights with helicopter sound effects. It's the shittiest helicopter sound effects you can get, too. And so he's like, no, don't, because, the helicopters will sets her off, and she just fucking pitches right over the edge. And it's like, okay, it took a long time before we heard a goddamn splat, too, because it's only a 2-story house. So really, she's on, like, not that high, honestly, and she's not, like, the first story, too. So it's like, even though she pitched herself over the edge, she wouldn't, like, die instantly. You could still call the medical professionals to probably save her. I know she's old and brittle and shit, but it's like, okay. So that's the opening of the film. That is the first scene. Old woman pitches herself off the edge, a fall from grace. Which also, I think, is a pun. Because the woman didn't fall, which I thought was hilarious. So that's the first thing. That's the first note of the film, what you're in for. At least what you think you're initially in for. Because, okay, so it's starting ridiculous. It's going to be ridiculous throughout the rest of the movie. And it's really not. Like, I'd say after that 5-minute sequence and then, like, the next hour, which is a 2-hour film, and there's no need to be 2 hours, by the way. It's a hard watch for that first hour. Nothing happens. You're introduced to the main players, particularly Grace Waters, who, as I said, on trial for murder. Her lawyer, Jasmine Bryant. So they send Jasmine. Just they're like, okay, we're just going to do a plea deal, that's it. But as she talks to Grace, she starts to suspect, all right, I don't think she's guilty of the murder, even though she herself has claimed to have murdered this son of a bitch. Her husband, who we learn more about. Symbolism, Chris Harris, symbolism, welcome to stream. How you doing? Praise the sun. She totally does that. Except it was nighttime. Oh, Chris Harris, the lawyer, was discount Zoe Saldana and Andy Newton. I wonder if Perry tried getting both of them for they're not doing shit like this. They're not doing this kind of stuff. Is there a church scene? Yes, there's several church scenes. There are several church scenes in this film. But what happens then? So she gets to know Grace. And Jasmine starts to suspect, you know what? Even though she's admitted to murdering her husband, and even though the evidence is just a complete mixed bag, I don't know how you just leave, like, oh yeah, she killed him even though they can't find a body. Okay, fair enough, sure, whatever. She says, you know what? I want to investigate this more. And so she starts delving into Grace Waters' past. And she learns more about her husband. And then we get like several flashbacks of Grace talking about the love of her life. As we know, Grace, she's been single for like several years. Her husband, she divorced. He cheated on her. And he's off with some young scamp who apparently is only 5 years older than her own son. So you know what that husband's like. No. But Grace, like her son is in grad school. She's all alone. She's very wealthy. She's all alone, but she just wants to meet somebody. So a friend of hers, Sarah, who Jasmine also visits throughout the film. Sarah says, you know what? Why don't you go to this art exhibit on African American life, or excuse me, not African American, African life in Ethiopia, or Ethiopian life. And she goes to the exhibit and she's enamored by it and everything. And someone approaches her, a very sexy, smoldering man who's about 2 feet taller than her, just with, tattoos and everything, bare, open chest. I mean, he's scrumptious. Scrumptious man right here. Starts talking about the photography. And, they're flirting back and forth. And you get her, her all like, oh, I can't believe it's the first time anyone paid attention to me. Like all of her inner voice stuff, or monologuing, if you will. And then she's like, oh, well, clearly a woman took all these. And he's like, oh, matter of fact, really? You think that? Matter of factly, okay. And then he's called over, and then you find out, oh, it's his art exhibit. Even though its fucking name and picture is on the goddamn pamphlet. Look at the pamphlet! And she feels so embarrassed, and so she runs out. He's like, I want nothing to do with this. However, because of that flirtatious tryst that they just had, Shannon, he's like, okay, I'm enamored with you. I'm gonna find you. Which is also a little creepy. And so when she goes into work the next day, she finds these flowers from him, and then the romance ensues. They go on their first date, and it's very romantic. It's very easy to just talk. And this is the part of the movie. Again, it's just fucking boring. This is the courtship period. There's about a half hour of courtship, and it's just some of the most boring, Hallmarky, Lifetime-esque bullshit you can get, chat. It's just not interesting. And, like, the actors, they're fine. Like, they're okay. I wouldn't say they're terrible, but it's just like, you've seen it all before. And it's just, it's so boring. Now, of course, throughout this relationship, which apparently they're dating for 3 months, right? Taking all these sweet little dates, leaving all this stuff for her everywhere. She's falling for this guy. This 35-year-old, ebony Adonis, if you will, chap. So he takes her to. This is one of my favorite parts. So on their first date, when I get bored, I start to look in the background for certain things, and they go to this diner, which again, all of this is shot on Tyler Perry's lot, so everything's 5 feet from each other. His actual, which apparently it's the largest lot in California. Like a production studio, but everything looks the same, and it's okay, you can tell that this stuff just doesn't feel right. Everything's next to each other. It's very weird. But during this diner scene, because you're so bored, you start to look in the background. I noticed that all the people are they're frozen. They're not doing anything. They're not they have food in front of them, but they're just looking at it or looking up, and they're looking at the camera too. It's like, Jesus Christ, don't look at the camera. They're looking at the camera and not eating anything. Just like this one old guy. Watch the movie, guys. Chris Harris, one of you noticed, remember in the movie when they're in the diner and he's just this old man who is eating some macaroni and cheese. You can tell it's macaroni because it's yellow. He has a fork like this, hand up like this, not doing anything. Every time they cut back to him, he's either looking at the camera or looking to the side, but his fork and hand never leave this position. It's bizarre, and I don't understand it. Purple Canary, welcome to the stream. Purple Canary, hey Chris, how makes this movie sound better than what it actually is? Oh, it gets better. The first hour is just boring as hell, and I'm noticing little details, because honestly, all the dialogue and character, you don't care about these people. You don't care about the courtship. You don't care about Jasmine delving into what actually happened. It's not until later do you actually do, and you go, how the hell did we end up here? So, the courtship scenes, and then the final one, the big one, is when they're in this park, basically, and, Shannon's like, I want to show you something so incredibly romantic, and he's like, turn around, spin around, and all these fireflies come up. And it's like, oh, it's beautiful, except the fireflies, look, they were made in After Effects. They are so cheap looking. How can you make fireflies? It's a little glowing dot. Look cheap and fake, but they somehow do. It's like something you would honestly see in a mid-90s soap opera, the special effects. And that's how everything's shot. It has this blue-gray filter, but all the dialogue, how everything's framed is like a soap opera. And it's just terrible. It really is. But after those 3 months of just love, of Grace just being, pampered and spoiled and buttered up, if you will, chap, he proposes to her. He's infatuated with her. And of course, she just says yes. So they get hitched very quickly. Shannon moves into her house, which she bought with her own money, as she says in the film several times, is completely paid off, and they just have their stuff. Very romantic for the next few weeks. However, one day, Grace gets called into work, has to see her boss. Or no, even before that, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead, chat. I'm jumping way ahead past scenes. Let me get this right. Let me get my notes. Okay, so we know something's amiss. Because one night when Grace is lonely in bed, she doesn't have her piece of man meat next to her. She's like, oh, where are you, Shannon? And she hears talking downstairs. And so she's tiptoeing and shit. And she hears some things over the phone. She hears him mention, I'll see you there, girl. I'll see you there. I'll show you the firefly. She's like, oh, that was our thing. And she's like, who are you talking to? And this is when Shannon turns very quickly. Like, this is not the romantic man that she fell in love with right here. He says two big things. The one which I can definitely remember is like, I don't like being questioned. I don't like that, and I don't like being, what is it? What's the line? It's like, I don't like being questioned, and I don't like being, have insinuations thrown against me, or something like that. Accused, that's it. I don't want being questioned. I don't like being accused. Thank you, Chris. See, that's why you're here, chat, so I fucking know what I'm talking about. I need you here. And so she's like, all right, Jesus, all right. And he's like, all right, and he walks away. Super, great looking guy, by the way, Shannon. Very handsome. But then some other things start to come up at work. She's called into the office. It's like the next day, too. and her boss says, we looked at your accounts, and apparently over $300,000 is missing from them. And it was used using all your codes, all your ping numbers. We see it's your IP address. You got to give us that money back. But even if you do, you're fucking fired. Because it's like, oh my God, she doesn't know what the hell's happening. It's like, what is going on? Even though we see in a previous scene, which is so incredibly obvious, when he's doing his, when Shannon's there, it's like, oh, I brought you flowers. I'm going to take pictures of you. Take a picture of you. Take a picture of your computer screen. Take a picture of you. Take a picture of the computer screen. Because that's where all her fucking codes are on her goddamn wallpaper, apparently. Crazy. And then she goes back to the house. She's very upset. She's like, what is going on with this nonsense? What's happening? And Shannon's like, oh, I don't know what's happening, but we'll get through this together, yada, yada, yada. And then a few days pass. She's like, okay, everything's falling apart. She learns that apparently someone put another mortgage on her house, took all that money. She owes all this money, going all the different places to where this person, whoever they may be, might be finding abandoned houses and shit. Apparently her identity was stolen, chat. That's what we're getting to. She's like, okay, I know one thing I can check. Because apparently all this was done in my computer. And so I have to look at the, because, apparently the bank wouldn't fucking check the goddamn cameras at their own bank, security footage to see what actually was going on. And then she learns it was Shannon. It was Shannon all along who was on the computer, who took the pictures to use that data to get the money out of her accounts. Why the bank didn't do this during their own internal investigation, I don't know, because that would be one of the first things I would do, is to check, like, okay, clearly you're coming from here, but let's see if there's other reasons why this might be happening. But no, they don't. But she learns it was Shannon. And this is when the movie starts getting good, chat. And he comes out, and his personality just changes out like that, like a snap. And he's like, listen, yeah, it was me. I stole all your money, because I have some debts, and these people are not to be fucked around with. They're not to be messed with. And she's like, listen, I just want my money back. Like, forget all this. And he's like, well, technically, now that we're married, that's my money, too. And I'm not legally obligated to give it back to you, which I don't know if that's true. I don't know if they signed, like, the prenuptial deal or whatever, but it's something weird. So he's like, I'm not going to give this back to you. But he doesn't, like, leave the house. He continues to live in the house with her. And so we just get a wonderful back and forth. We get several sequences that are just a pleasure. Because he's like, I don't give a damn. Where she's like, I just want you out of my house. And he's, like, in bed, again, only in, like, his tighty whities. Only in his boxer briefs. And he's like, bitch, I want an ashtray. Because he just starts smoking. He goes, and he has that magical laughter. He's just smoking and laughing. And it's like, oh my God. And she just walks out. And he's doing all these cool, like, smoke tricks of his mouth. He's like breathing in his nose and out his mouth again. And he's just laughing. And then another one of the sequences they show is, she comes home defeated because she's like, I can't get him out of my house. She called the police, but they're like, we can't do anything. I'm not married to you. What are we going to do? Did he beat you? Did he hurt you? No. It's like, shit. So she comes back to the house. She hears all this wrestling upstairs, all this, what we were led to believe, love making. She goes up here, and he's butt-ass naked, just doing a chat to this lovely young woman. And she starts freaking out. He's like, get the fuck out of my home, bitch. And he locks her out. And he proceeds then to go back to fucking like we were just on the other side. Not like, oh, shit, why did, not like setting out the other door. No, locks the door and proceeds back to fucking with Grace on the other side of the door, just bawling. Just defeated. And he's laughing, too, while doing it. He's got, doesn't have a cigarette that time, but he's laughing. And so I was like, oh, shit. And so after the scene, the hussy, she leaves the house. Shannon walks downstairs. And she's like, Grace at this point, again, defeated, not knowing what to do. he's still talking shit. He's saying, listen, I love you, but not the way that you love me. You know, you were just, and he's just telling her that everything, that the whole courtship was a lie. He's just laying it all out there at this point. Like, yeah, you were what's the saying? What's the saying called, Grace? You were low-hanging fruit. Just all that shit. Okay. And so he's smoking, not paying attention, and we see her leave the scene for a moment, leave where they are, because the framing is terrible. She comes back in with a big old baseball bat and proceeds to beat his fucking head in with it. Just blood spray, terrible CGI blood spray. All on her, the furniture. He's all fucked up. You know, she hits him like several times. Like, clearly, you hear like his skull cave in. You hear his skull just splintering, brain matter just falling out of his head. There's no doubt about that. It's like, okay, well, clearly he's dead. Clearly he's dead. So she's dragging the body, drags it back downstairs, and she's freaking out. She's like, oh, what do I do? Leaves the house, gets in her car, drives, several miles, still all covered and just caked in blood and brain matter and skull, by the way, Chad. Still doing that. Calls her best friend, Sarah, who told her to go to the art gallery. And she says, I don't know what to do, Sarah. I think I killed Shannon. I killed him. And then we got to present day with her telling this to Jasmine, the lawyer. It's like, oh, shit. All right, well, I still believe you're innocent. Because she learns a new detail. They never found the body. Despite all this stuff that she says, never found the body. And Jasmine's like, okay, something clear is amiss. Something's not making sense. I mean, our judicial system's so fucked up, they're basically going to throw her in jail for murder, even though they can't find the body. So it's like, okay, fair enough. But what are you thinking of this so far, chat? How you doing? Chris Ayers' movie really does feel like it was written by an 8-year-old. I'm pretty sure I wrote something like this when I was a kid and thought could write like Hitchcock. I think that's what Tyler Perry was thinking too. He's like, this is just the same. It's exactly the same. Here we go. You got fireflies from the Dollar Tree? Yes. You definitely did. Might as well just had them on strings. Could have gotten both. It would have worked out well. But then after that, so it was like, okay, that now we're at like finally, because this was like slightly past the halfway point, like all this crazy stuff is happening in the span of like 10 minutes. It's like, okay, cool. Now we get to the nonsense. Now we're gonna go to trial. She's like, okay, well, something's amiss. I'm gonna go ahead and talk to Sarah because something's not right, to basically confirm like what actually happened. And Sarah says, yeah, no, Grace, she called me. She told me that Shannon was murdered. No, she doesn't want to say it at first because she wants to protect her friend. Because of course she does. They grew up together. They love each other. Why would Sarah lie? There's no evidence. There's nothing in front of us so far in the film that says that Sarah would, of course, lie. Doesn't make any sense. So trial proceeds. Varies back and forth bullshit, everything. Tyler Perry's pissed off that the case went to trial. He just wanted a one and done. He's keeps talking shit to Jasmine. You're not a lawyer. You're bullshit. You're terrible. Matter of fact, he says, if you don't win, now that we're in this situation, if you don't win this case, you're fucking fired. It's like, wow. And so there's a lot of animosity between Jasmine and Tyler Perry. And so the case begins to proceed. Eventually, Jasmine calls Sarah to the stand for whatever reason, trying to help Grace. And then the prosecutor is cross-examining Sarah. And the prosecutor's like, hey, listen, okay, we got all these goddamn phone records. You say that you talked to, Grace for however long about this stuff. You're just talking about you wanted to help the poor. It's like, really? Just like, really? That's your excuse? That's what you're saying? It's like, okay, whatever. He's like, listen, if you don't tell us the truth, you'll be perjured. You'll go to jail. And then Sarah's like, oh, she did it. She killed him. She was the reason. She said, I'm sorry, Grace. I'm sorry. And Grace is like, it's fine. It's okay. And so it's like, all right, that's how it is. Eventually, Jasmine's held in contempt because she's a terrible lawyer. She's just awful. She's terrible at her job. And then, after that, we notice, this is the big thing that happens. And this is the part where the movie just loses its mind. It sets events in motion, let's say, chat. And this is a very key detail. And I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the review, but you'll notice it. When Grace is getting all of her stuff read to her, she's guilty of murder, etc. They're leading her out. She goes to embrace Sarah, her friend, who we meet throughout the movie. And they hug, and Grace looks down, and she has a necklace. And I recognize the necklace because that necklace was always hanging across the neck, right in front of the muscular ebony chest of Shannon. Shannon had that necklace before. It's like, wait a minute, what happened here? And Grace is none too happy about that. And Jasmine's like, well, okay, what the fuck is going on? And so Jasmine, after the case is over, she goes to check on Sarah. It's like, okay, something's not right here. Something. We have to see what we can do. Ryan Walterson, welcome to the stream. It's been crazy. It's been crazy. So she goes to Sarah's house and she meets this elderly woman who's outside of her house doing something. And the elderly woman's like, I don't know if I can let you in. And she starts asking her questions. Asking her questions about Sarah. Who Sarah is. What she's been doing. How does she have this home? How does she have all this money? And so throughout their conversations, Jasmine hears something, and she goes to Sarah's basement in her house. And this is the part where I'm like, what the fuck is happening? It switches genres. It stops. It's no longer a courtroom thriller, and it reverts to a torture porn horror movie. In her basement are dozens upon dozens of elderly women chained to the wall. And it's like, what? And Jess is like, what the hell's happening? She's freaking out. She's like right around all these elderly women everywhere. She opens a goddamn door, and she's like looking in. It's like, oh my God. And from out of the fucking shadows like Batman, it's Shannon. Who apparently survived his injuries. The events of his death were greatly exaggerated. And he comes up behind her with just like a little bandage around his head. Even though clearly his head had fucking caved in and brain matter and skull and blood was falling out of it. And he grabs her and Sarah, she comes back and the old woman's like, oh, I didn't mean to let her in. You know, it wasn't me. Don't hurt me. And Sarah goes down and then her personality changes on a dime, much like her. We now know who Shannon is. She says, he's my son. Shannon is Sarah's son, Chad, and they've been scamming people for fucking decades, taking everyone's money. And the reason why they have all these elderly women in chains in a goddamn prison under the basement, because they can cash those Social Security checks. That's what it's all about. It's a big old scam, but Shannon can help himself. He needs more money. And Sarah's like, I know someone who has a lot of money. My friend, Grace. So it all starts to come together. And so, both Shannon and Sarah are just monologuing to Jasmine and like, yeah, we're going to keep you here, but they're going to kill her eventually. That's clearly what's going to happen. But here's the thing. We all know that Jasmine's husband is a police officer. Remember in the film, in the earlier guys, when the old woman pitched herself off, that was her husband who was talking to that old woman. And so he's up there. He gets to the house, fucking kicks through the door and everything. And then fucking he gets into a brawl with Sarah. They're fighting. They're throwing stuff at each other. She hits him with a frying pan over the head. Doesn't take him out though. He's like, he's good. He's good. So he defeats her. He cuffs her. He's like, okay. Cuffs her to the table, or not to the table, but places her on the table, cuffs her from behind. He's like, all right, you stay here. I'm going to go investigate. And she fucking takes off. She runs out of the goddamn house. Somehow gets out of her cuffs later on. So he's into the basement of elderly woman horrors. Finds his wife tied up, with muzzled, basically. Piece of cloth wrapped around her mouth. And fucking Shannon, again, pulling another goddamn Batman, comes out from behind her, and they start behind him and they start tussling. They start, wrestling again. Terrible, terrible fight choreography, too. These two guys don't know how to fight whatsoever. The camera's just shaking, and it's all in darkness, lit horribly. But Shannon's husband does get the upper hand. Jasmine's husband does get the upper hand on him, pushes Shannon out of the way. But in the meantime, Jasmine just fucking gets up out of her chair. Even though she was apparently tied. And she fucking runs right into Shannon. Like a goddamn football player. Hits him. Chair breaks apart. She grabs her husband's gun, pulls it up, and bam, 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 shoots Shannon like several times in the chest. And he's fucking dead, Chad. Shannon, the ebony Adonis, is dead for good this time. Well, you don't know. Double tap that shit. That's what Grace's problem was. She didn't double tap. May have caved in his fucking skull, but she didn't shoot him. That would have finished him off for good. Yeah, destroyed the brain, Chad. Sever the head or destroy the brain. So after that, the police come. They rescue the dozens upon dozens of elderly women who are in there. And then it's like, oh, we cut back to the trial after that. It's like, oh, well, based on the new evidence, you're free to go, Grace. It's like, okay, happy ending, right? It's like, yay! But there's one little thing that's left, chat. One thing. What character did we forget about? Sarah. And she's up to her old ways again. This movie has a cliffhanger. This movie has an end credit stinger of Sarah. She's in a new town and she's scheming. And she's like, how I'm going to get back at Grace and Jasmine. I need more money. And there we go. And the final shot is her walking in this place, going to be taking care of old women, chat, elderly women in desperate need of care. But is she going to give them that care? No. Because she's Sarah. She's Sarah, and she's not going to do that shit. And so at the door, she goes into the house, gives a little smile, and closes it. And that is the film. That is A Fall from Grace, guys. It is fucking ridiculous what happens. It is the scheming old woman chronicles. So do you want to watch it, Neil Breen? Neil Breen's laptop. That is an excellent name, man. Welcome. But was it cinema? It was indeed cinema, chat. And so now I want to see the sequels. I want to see what happens to Sarah. That's what I'm interested in at this point. What the hell was she doing? Is she going to get back at Jasmine and her husband and Grace? I don't know. It is cinema technically, but does this, I mean, guys, I'm serious. Like, one, I'm going to get Corey and Martin to review this film. At least Corey. I'm going to talk about it today with him on 8-Bit Crumbs, because that's what we're going to do. It needs to happen. We need that type, and, you know, I don't know if it'd be good for a watch-along or anything. Maybe, okay, that'd be a good bad movie review, because it's bad. It's terrible. There's no doubt about it. The fucking leaps of logic they go through to get to where we are at the end is ridiculous. To add an element of the fucking elderly prison beneath her house, like fucking catacombs, is ridiculous. Nothing you see early in the film leads to that moment. It's like, what is happening? Oh my god. Oh, Jesus Christ. Boo. What are you talking about? He said his sound, it has in color, and it was mostly in focus. Yeah, sometimes it was, yeah, not always in focus when they cut back and forth. You already planning to discuss it on Sunday? Oh, excellent. Oh my god. Yeah, guys, it is. Listen, I cannot wait. If this is going to be the quality of Tyler Perry's Netflix films, which they're already the quality of his regular movies are, anyway, there's going to be a long series that I'm going to be doing too. Doing my reviews of this shit. It is nonsense. DeCarlox, welcome to stream. By the way, sorry if I missed you guys before. DeCarlox, Arrow Senpai, awesome. Pleasure to have you in here. What's this? Dank memes? What is this you have here for me, man? Dank memes? I'm all about the dank memes. You know that. Oh. So why does she want money? She just wants money to have it. Her and her son, they can't help themselves. They're gluttonous for money. They're greedy for money, guys. They just want it. Hundreds of millions of dollars they scam from people for they say in the movie 25 years they've been doing this. 25 years going from town to town, new identities, scheming, murdering, apparently. I mean, she, like fucking Sarah is a goddamn supervillain. She's the mastermind, and her son's the muscle. Well, he's pretty good at it too. Not as good as Sarah, though, because Sarah did survive. Sarah survived, but Sarah's like, she's like one of my favorite supervillains of all time. And you do not expect it. Chris says, he doesn't know how agriculture works. He doesn't know how farming works. He doesn't know how the fucking publishing industry works. What are you talking about? So, like, Children Under the Stairs? Yeah, to a certain degree. The last 20 minutes, last 15 minutes of the movie kind of becomes the People Under the Stairs. The Wes Craven film. I mean, they're not fucking monsters or anything like that. Oh, Hanan, welcome to stream. How you doing? No, you just missed my review for A Fall from Grace, but you should be sure to check that out, guys. That was good, yeah, almost nearly 40-minute review, a scene by scene by scene by scene breakdown of A Fall from Grace.